Hey there, I'm King 5 meteorologist Ashley Ruiz taking a deeper dive into your Sunday morning forecast because we have a lot going on. I have a lot to cover this morning because we have an atmospheric river heading in. I know it's rainy and gusty now, but this is not the main event. This is just the appetizer, if you will, of what's to come because we've been dealing with just some steady rain all morning. This is going to taper off and we'll have some sun breaks as we wrap up the day, except where we get some convergence zone activity setting up. Again, this is not the main event. We'll have rain tapering from west to east, and we have some lowering snow levels right now. So between Snoqualmie and Stevens Pass, starting to see some of that snow that we were anticipating just yesterday, but our snow levels are going to be more so about 4,000 feet, maybe 4,500 feet, and then they're going to start to come up out ahead of that atmospheric river, and as it moves in, it's going to send all of this warm, moist air into place, all the way from the subtropics. And so that just tells you it's going to be very warm. We'll have very high snow levels and a lot of moisture in place, and it has to go somewhere, and it's going to fall over western Washington and then all the way into Oregon as well. So I'll take a deeper dive into everything you need to know, because today it's going to go from rain to showers, except where the convergence zone sets up. And I'm already starting to see it fire up a little bit along Highway 2 and Snohomish County, our typical spot. Minor coastal flooding today because of the king tides, more so for the north interior. As I mentioned, also going to be breezy at times. But this week, we're going to have a moderate to strong atmospheric river moving in, and we'll just have waves of rain. We'll have breaks, thankfully. It's not going to rain for 72 hours straight because that would be catastrophic, but we're not talking that level. Heavy rain, though, all of that moisture has to go somewhere, and especially with the snow levels so high, again, it's going to fall as rain over the mountains. High elevation snow, however. And so rivers are at risk to flood. I'll show you coming up. But next weekend, not looking as wet, though we'll still have showers around, and it's going to be very mild. So I'm not seeing any big cool down, at least not anytime soon. This is a big picture right now. You see how we have some clouds, some moisture moving generally west to east. That's the atmospheric river setting up. I can already see it on the satellite imagery, and so we'll have all of this moisture that you can kind of see in the form of clouds right now. That's going to eventually move in. You can see it on, this is a model that we show in a product called the PWATS, precipitable water. It's a lot, but it's showing us all of that moisture that we have in the atmosphere. And so you see this plume, it's almost just looks like a swath or a rain train, if you will. That's what we call it, because it is literally a river in the sky. And so watch what happens as we head into Tuesday and into Wednesday. So you can really see it's pretty vibrant. That is showing where we have the greatest moisture in place in the atmosphere. This is Tuesday. You see how more of that atmospheric river and that plume starts to move a little more to the south. That's where we'll start to see some of the heaviest rain on Tuesday, so into Oregon more so, but then it starts to oscillate a little bit more to the north, back up into Washington into Wednesday, and we'll have to see if it gets stuck there or if it's going to ease up as we head into Thursday and Friday, because that will tell us just how much rain we can expect and if the rain will finally even clear Thursday and into Friday. But with all of that being said, again, the main event Monday, later Tuesday, and into Wednesday. All out ahead of all of this rain, the National Weather Service issued a flood watch because possible flooding caused by excessive rainfall. So our rivers, creeks, streams, our typical low-lying and flood-prone locations could have some flooding. And all of the saturated soils, as the week goes on, that could cause landslides and debris flows, especially over those burn scars. I showed this yesterday, but this is also a good product to tell the story of where we'll have the heaviest rain into Monday. The yellow, that indicates where we'll have the heaviest rain set up. So mainly the Olympic Peninsula down south and then up in the Cascades. But the green just says, yes, we're going to have heavy rain there as well. But the heaviest rain will likely be more so over areas in the yellow. For Tuesday, you see how it shifts more to the south? That's what we're thinking. As that plume of moisture moves more, we can call it the axis of the moisture, that it starts to move to the south into Oregon. But we'll still have heavy rain moving in. Then we get into Wednesday. Once again, the heaviest rain looks to set up over the central Cascades down south and Puget Sound and potentially into the foothills. And this is showing where we'll have the precipitation totals through Friday. And the yellow colors, the oranges that you see, that's reflecting where we'll have the highest total. So initially it looked more like it was going to be over the central and northern Cascades, but now it's been shifting a little more to the south. So depending on the exact track of the atmospheric river, that's where, if it moves more to the south, the rain totals are going to move to the south as well to reflect that, because again, that's where we'll have the greatest concentration of this moisture in place, and we'll get some rain shadowing setting up. So basically from Central Sound southward, about 2 to 4 inches from north to south. So the farther south you are, the higher the rain totals, except where we'll have the rain shadow set up. So North Seattle, our typical spots, maybe near the coast of Everett and over Whidbey, Camano Island, Sequim, going to get significantly less. But this could all change. Again, the way it oscillates. If it moves more to the north or moves more to the south, it's really going to just bounce around. This is as of 10 o'clock this morning. This is the river forecast from the Northwest River Forecast Center. So you do want to check this out frequently. It updates several times a day, and it's showing where we'll have some of the highest or the heaviest rain, the forecast at least, and where we'll have the potential for river flooding. Seeing some spots, major river flooding for some. A lot of our rivers will at least get into minor flood stage or above flood stage, but some of them could even reach major flood stage. But again, this is all the forecasts that they release, and to give these numbers when it crests and so on and so forth is a forecast. Where we're at right now for, say, Snoqualmie near Carnation, over 47.5 feet. That's current. That's what the river gauges are picking up on. But the forecast is also dependent, like what I'm telling you, how much rain we're expecting. Those are computed into the crest forecast. So we could get some heavier rain, and especially if the snow levels are so high, all the rivers coming off of the Cascades and the Southern Olympics, the water has to go somewhere. So again, we'll have to see, but this will likely change, and you want to make sure you check in with the forecast frequently over the next couple of days if you live by some of these rivers, and maybe your river that you live by is one of the flood prone ones, because again, you see the orange, that's minor. So the minor flood stage potentially for the Tolt near Carnation, and then the Chehalis near Ground Mound, and then the Skykomish near Gold Bar potentially in moderate flood stage. And I mentioned the snow levels likely going to come up to about 5,500 feet later today, except maybe where that convergence zone sets up, because you have that cold air. It's likely going to keep snow levels a little on the lower side. But either way, that would be for a very isolated spot. Snow levels come up to about 65, maybe 7,000 feet tomorrow. So we're going to have just rain at all of the passes all the way up to that snow level. Tuesday, especially because we'd be on the cooler side of of this system, so the atmospheric river, that warm, moist air would move to the south, bringing the heavy rain with it, and then we'd have some cooler temperatures. Snow levels will come down. That's the best chance that we'll get some snow at the passes. And then you see it just kind of goes up and down over the next couple of days and over the next 7 days. So the snow totals through tonight, I still think of maybe a couple of inches at Stevens Pass, Snoqualmie Pass, not expecting it really to stick. Into Monday, you see how the snow totals start to add up at Mount Baker. If we get those snow levels to come down Tuesday morning and into Tuesday night, then we could easily see a good amount, maybe a good amount of snow at some of the lower elevations, the lower ski resorts. But we'll have to fine tune it as we get a little closer. Another thing that we're going to be dealing with, it's breezy today and it could be gusty into the afternoon, but we're going to have widespread wind gusts coming out of the southwest, potentially over 30, maybe 40 miles per hour. That would be tomorrow afternoon. The National Weather Service out of Seattle saying they may, or they're going to evaluate the forecast and fine tune what the models are showing when they come up with their forecast. They may issue some wind alerts, so we'll see as early as this afternoon. And Leah will bring you the latest then. With that next batch of rain, Tuesday night and into Wednesday, likely going to have some more strong wind gusts. And I know I've been rambling, but let's get into the timing because everyone wants to know the timing of all of this. So let's take you into the afternoon and into tonight. I mentioned that convergence zone's already setting up and the Futurecast is picking up on that potential over Stevens Pass, but we'll likely have those snow levels come up then. This is this afternoon. Some spots are going to see sunshine with a passing shower or two. Then we get into the overnight hours and yes, we could have a wave of showers, but this is when we'll get our first round of several rounds of rain. So tomorrow morning, plan on a wet commute. We'll have this rain spreading over the area. And when you see the oranges and the yellows, that's indicating where we have the heaviest rain falling. Watch what happens as we head into the afternoon, evening. You see how it just sits there. We're just getting all of that moisture coming in off of the Pacific. And so we're going to have pretty steady rain all day long. I wanted to point attention again to that rain shadow. You see how we get light green instead of the oranges and the yellows from about Seattle northward, depending on your neighborhood, of course. So some spots may only have some light rain off and on throughout the day, but others are going to just have downpours for a good chunk of the day. Then we get into Monday night. You see how we're starting to see more in the way of purples, North Cascades. So we'll start to see some snow in the North Cascades. And then the precipitation just slowly peels away because all of that moisture is now moving south into Oregon. This is Tuesday morning. Then we'll have a dry morning, maybe even some sun. But then here comes our next round of rain. All that moisture starts to lift back to the north and with lower snow levels. This is 6 o'clock Tuesday, so we have heavy rain in the lowlands, give or take a couple of hours, but then up in the mountains and the passes, we start to see some snow again. But then we get into Wednesday morning, and then we'll get the rain tapering off, and then snow levels come back up. So you kind of see what I'm talking about with this up and down, oscillating and dancing around thing. Over the northern and northeastern Cascades, that's where we'll have that chance for some snow into Wednesday. So to wrap it all up and to just kind of give you a summary of what to expect per your location. So the coast, strong wind gust, especially tomorrow. Rounds of heavy rain Monday through Wednesday, potentially into Thursday. Rain totals maybe 3 to 4 plus. The lowlands and the foothills will have rounds of heavy rain and then gusty winds more so Monday and again Wednesday or Tuesday night into Wednesday with that river flooding risk anywhere maybe minor to major. We'll have to see where that heaviest rain sets up, but either way, if you live by rivers, plan for it. Landslide risk as well as the week goes on. Rain about 1 to 2 for northern areas and then about 2 to 4 plus south. Again, the closer you are to, say, the Chehalis Valley and South Sound and southward all the way into Oregon, you'll have higher rain totals. You'll be on the higher side of those rain totals, but the rain shadow significantly less. But in the mountains, going to get a lot of heavy rain, especially below those snow levels. potentially up to 7,000 feet. That is most of our mountains as well. So pass level snow is possible Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, Tuesday night, before those snow levels start to come back up. But here's a look at your week. It's going to be very warm, well above normal. In fact, about 9-10 degrees above normal for Monday. We should be in the mid and upper 40s. That's where our lows will be. But today, again, rain to showers. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll have rain, but likely tapering off, especially if we start to get that ridge of high pressure building over the region, over the Pacific again. But as of now, next weekend looks to be drier, but still very, very mild. Remember, stay up to date with us on air, online, King 5 Plus, king5.com, and then the King 5 app will bring you the latest and we'll keep you posted. Again, this is not a doomsday or anything like that, but this will slow you down for your commutes. It could lead to some flooding on the roads, and then the rivers will be at risk for some of that flooding as well. We'll be here every step of the way to keep you posted and, of course, to keep you safe.